Well, we should go into the meeting. Amanda, are we ready? Or anyone? No? Okay, that's a no. I see that. That's a no. Thank you. Welcome everyone to the meeting of Public Works. Thank you all for being here this morning. The first item is let's move the minutes of the previous meeting. Motion. Ms. Hogan on the motion, second. Mr. Strow on the second. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the previous meeting signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved. We really have one item on the agenda for this morning. And Kevin, what do we have here?
Good morning, everyone. Basically what this is a request for new contracts. This is for disposal. This is for solid waste and recycling disposal services, as well as for transportation services. We received the bids for the disposal back in November, but since we award them together for the towns, we waited until we got the transportation services bid that came in this past week or last week. Now combined together, you'll see that basically we are awarding to, I think, every company that put in for the disposal services and 3 of the companies that put in for transportation services. I believe as part of the packet, and I'm trying to go down through it right now, you'll see how the awards kind of fell out with the bid tabs that are in your package. But I believe, again, these were the, and we don't put pages on here anymore. So I would say go to the, I think it's probably the first bid tab. You'll see that 6120 is the solid waste and recycling disposal services. And each one of the vendors there has a low bid on something. You'll see that Waste Management has it for price per ton for processable waste. I believe they also have it for non-processable. And C&D, you'll see that tires, as in each item, goes to county waste. Disposal of tires per ton goes to Wheelabrator. And then you'll see, of course, the recyclables, newspapers, magazines, go from county waste to Casella to Perkins, I believe, as well. And then the second set of bid tab sheets basically show the transportation cost to the facilities that they'll be disposing of. So I don't know if you want to do these as each individual contract or you want to combine them together. But basically it's a request for new contracts for disposal services, for Wheelabrator, Waste Management, County Waste, Casella, and Perkins. And then a request for transportation for County Waste, and Waste Management.
Yeah, without objection, I think what I'd like is maybe a motion to bring all of this to the floor and we can discuss it all at once. Mr.
I'll make
Stroud,
that motion, John
motion
Stroud.
to bring it to the floor. Do we have a second to the motion to bring this to the floor? Mr. Bruno on the second. All those in favor of bringing this to the floor for discussion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Mr. Stroud, you had your hand up, did you?
Yeah, I agree. I think we should move items 1 through 8 at one time. They're all interrelated.
Okay. Let's see if there's a second on that, John, before we have the discussion on everything. Do we have a second to move items 1 through 8? Mr. Bruno on the second. Discussion. I just have, first, I just want to say before we get too far along here that kudos to Julie, this in her department. This is a bear of a contract, I can tell you. And when you consider across all the municipalities and all the hauling distances and tonnage differences, it's a lot. So Julie, once again, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I think I would highlight a couple of things for the committee and for the board that I noticed, and then maybe some others might want to jump in. The first is it looks like some of the waste is not going to Wheelabrator. Is that correct, Julie?
That's correct. The only thing that Wheelabrator got were the tires. So the remaining waste is going to go to Green Ridge facility, and that's run by Waste Management. That's a landfill.
So that's one item that I would highlight just for your information. And the other is quite a significant, what appears to be a significant increase in magazines and newspapers. Is that right? And
Yes. And the
I don't
reason,
know. Go ahead, Julie.
the reason for that is that previously we were getting rebates for the newspaper and magazines. Last year it changed so that we were actually getting charged for cardboard. So you're not going to see a huge change in the cardboard, but magazines and newspaper, we're no longer getting a rebate. So we're kind of at the mercy of our bids in that we are paying for every ton that we are disposing of. So your charge, and newspaper and magazines are heavy. So you'll see on the individual tab sheets that I did for each of your towns, I put the yard or the container size on your sheet and the number of tons that the average container weighs. So when you factor that weight times what we're being charged, that's the difference.
So that price on, if I might, so just for the board, so that price, for example, on newspapers is for 30-yard, 9 tons of a 30-yarders, and for magazines, it's a little over 13 tons for a 30-yarder.
That's correct.
So that would be the cumulative price for transportation plus tipping per ton or disposal per ton.
Right. So on your tab sheet, it shows that it would be $855 to just dispose of the newspaper. And then when you add the hauling fee of $325, you're at $1,180 for disposal of that container. Well, disposal and transportation of that container.
And these would be for contracts beginning when?
January 1st.
January 1st.
Just wanted to make sure everyone understood that.
And I just wanted to note too that at the end of all of your individual town tab sheets, I did provide a 2020 impact chart, or 2021. So it shows your current cost per load, the 2021 cost per load, and then the change for each of those loads. So for you, or for Bolton, it's going to cost you another $13 per load for your processable waste. So if anybody has any questions on any of those individual town tabs, I'd be more than happy to explain that to you.
Mr. Conover, Mr. Simpson has a question.
Amanda,
Mr. Simpson has a question.
Mr. Simpson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had a question about, the timing of these contracts. We've already adopted our budgets for the towns for 2021, and with the increasing costs that we're seeing every year, would it be worth exploring the idea of aligning these at a different time of the year so that we can be prepared in our town budgets? Just because there really isn't an alternative, there isn't an alternative plan, and somehow we've got to absorb those costs, and it's just an accounting issue, not anything else.
Kevin?
I was posed that same question by someone else in another town this past week. And I've talked to Julie about it a little bit, but I'm thinking maybe, I think the best we could do is maybe in September, maybe put out the bids then. It would still be for January 1st. But there's two ways. I guess that one way to look at that is if we put them out earlier, then these vendors aren't going to be sure what the market is. So they may throw a high price at it, and they're not going to renegotiate after we award it. So that's the risk that we take is yeah, you'll have numbers beforehand, but they may turn around and say, as opposed to, a tipping fee of $54, maybe now they're going to say it's 75 because they're not sure. With the recycling market, you don't know what's going to take place. So maybe the hauling, for some of that stuff, or if they have to hang on to that material longer, they're going to charge us a higher price. So I guess I would propose we could do it in September and see how the prices come in. And Supervisor Simpson and Supervisor Scheffler asked the question as well. And is September feasible that you guys haven't adopted your budget yet? So that may be a good time frame.
Early September, I think would be fine. Matt, what do you think?
Well, I understand Kevin's response there, but I'm wondering if we could change the contract begin date to an earlier time of the year. So in other words, it would be from, I was just kind of thinking that out loud. I can understand the issue of putting the bid out earlier and still having a begin date of January 1st. I just didn't know if it was possible you could arrange those contracts so that it wasn't January to December 31st. Maybe that's even further.
I'm not sure about that. I think the idea is to have it aligned with the budget year. But I think if we could get the numbers in the front end of September, I think that would be all right. I don't know, Andrea, what do you think? Is that work for you?
Absolutely.
John?
Yeah.
I'm just quizzing some of the town supervisors here. Yeah, no, that's a good suggestion. That's a very good suggestion. Any other comments regarding the matter in front of us? Kevin?
I just wanted to add is because I look at some of the supervisors who might not see some of the information in front of them. So what Julie had done was, these are the bids that you see in front of you, which we typically award off of. Julie also provided each one of the towns, or we've sent out to each one of the towns, what it would cost for their materials. So each of the towns have in front of them a sheet that I sent out the other day that basically says, if you're taking your cardboard, this is who you would be taking it to. So she spelled that out for each one of the towns. So some of the other supervisors that are on here, like Supervisor Bruno Wild and Supervisor Beatty, might not have that stuff in front of them. But again, go ahead. We're warding off the tab sheets that you have in front of you, though.
And I just wanted to make mention of, there was a question during the last meeting regarding recyclables and confirmation that the recyclables are not being disposed of or sent to the burn plant. I've heard from each of our recycling companies, which would be Ace Carding, Casella, and Perkins. And they've all given me written confirmation of their methods and markets. Casella will follow up with the markets, but I've gotten everybody else. So we do have that certification that they're recycling.
I think that was that was actually in the specification for the towns, was it not?
Well, we reserved the right to request it, which I did request it on Friday, just to make sure we had that information for today's meeting.
Right. Excellent. Very good. Kevin, anything else?
Nothing else.
Well, you've all heard the motion to approve items 1 through 8. Are we ready for the question? All those in favor of approving items 1 through 8 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. Any other business to come before the board? The committee, excuse me.
I just have one real quick thing that I want to let everybody know is I believe Claudia's had this in her committee on environmental concerns, but planning department has taken a grant or applied for a grant with DEC for the educational component to go along with kind of education the public on, reducing solid waste, composting. So we haven't heard yet back from DEC, but I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware here that we do have a grant into DEC for at least the start of some of our local solid waste management planning. And that's it.
Very good. Don, anything in the, any questions?
Good morning, Chairman Conover. No, there is no comment on YouTube as of right now.
Well, fine. Then we have Amanda, did I get a motion to adjourn already?
No.
Carol, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Bramer.
Moved by Andrea, second by Mr. Bruno. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.